Plaintiff Ashlyn Upton Swan dated the defendant, but she claims he turned out to be a drug-addicted cheater who physically abused her. Ashlyn claims after she punched the defendant in self-defense, he had her falsely arrested, and she's suing him today for unreturned property. Defendant Sean Lewis says Ashlyn was extremely insecure, and he insists she was the physically abusive one who assaulted him multiple times. Sean's countersuing Ashlyn for pain and suffering and storage fees.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. Please be seated.
Let me take a moment to introduce Keith here. Keith is going to be standing in for Doyle sometimes. Doyle took on a second job. So every now and then, Keith is going to stand in for him when he has to work overtime at the factory. All right, start with you. Give me some background.
Right, so me and Sean started dating in the early 2019. Unfortunately, Your Honor, he turned out to be a liar, a cheater, abuser, as well as a drug abuser. So when we first started dating, he had nothing to his name. He was actually sleeping on somebody's floor, and I overlooked that because I really liked him. We had a strong connection, and I gave him a chance. But with that, a couple months into our relationship, everything was great. He was my best friend. We did absolutely everything together. And we moved him into my family's home.
What? Moved into the family's home?
I'm sorry, what?
You said you moved into the family's
home?
home?
Yeah, he moved into my family's home with us. And that's because he had nowhere to go, and we were together, so we just...
Nobody else would bother with him? That wasn't a sign?
At the time, no.
That wasn't a sign to you that something was not right with this guy? His parents, if he has them left, his siblings, his cousins, his lifelong friends, nobody will take him in. That never dawned on you?
Unfortunately, I just looked past all of the red flags. I now know today that it was a mistake.
After he moved in, 4 months after meeting him, how did things go?
Everything was actually great. I work a lot, so...
No, it wasn't quite great because we're here. But go ahead. It started out great.
Right.
All right.
Exactly. The summer went great, and then come September of 2019, that's when I learned about his drug addiction because he actually overdosed by smoking Percocet laced with fentanyl.
Damn.
Yeah.
And you had no hint at that time. Wow.
Unfortunately, sir, I worked, like I said, I worked a lot, so we only spent nights and stuff together, so I didn't know.
And since he was nodding at night, you figured it was because it was night and it's time to go to sleep. You know he was nodding off that heroin or that fentanyl or that opioid.
He also smokes weed, so I really thought he just was smoking weed, and he also is a really bad alcohol problem. So I thought just between the two, that was kind of why he was acting like that.
That's reasonable.
But I never had any idea that he was addicted to Percocet.
Okay.
I know before our relationship, he did use that, but he swore to me that he never touched it while we were together.
Did you see evidence again after September of 19?
So the following day after his overdose, I actually had endometriosis surgery, and with that, he had actually taken my pain medicine from that as well. Then over the course of the next couple months, my mom had shoulder surgery, and her pain medicine started coming up missing, as well as my dad's because he's got blood clots. That was a really big red flag. So come April of 2021, I was actually in the process of leaving him, and then I found out I was pregnant with our son, Ezekiel. And at that time, he
21?
I'm sorry?
April of what?
2021. And then with that, he said that he was going to be a great father to our son, that he wouldn't do any of this, and I really believed him. And I thought we were great, Your Honor, but when I was 6 months pregnant, he actually cheated on me for the first time that I know about. Pictures of him and his ex-girlfriend surfaced of holding each other at a wedding. And
where'd they surface?
His best friends actually posted it. Then when my son was born, he was an amazing father. I loved seeing him with our son, but his whole demeanor towards me changed. He was very controlling and demanding, and nothing I ever did was good enough for him. We moved into our own home in August of 2021. August 7th to be exact. And by the end of August, Your Honor, I was already sleeping on the couch just to get away from him. Then come December.
What was he saying or doing that caused you to want to get away?
We were just fighting terribly. He would tell me over anything, like if the food wasn't cooked correctly, if the clothes weren't put away.
Finding ways to be critical.
Yeah, and he would tell me all the time how bad of a mom I was, how insecure I was.
Did you see any pattern between the things he was saying and his actions and drugs?
At that time, no, Your Honor. But come October, I actually left our home my family was going on vacation, and I just wanted to get away from him because he started becoming really aggressive and just plain out mean. So I told my mom last minute I want to go, so I booked the flight, and I came back to an evil Sean. He was completely different, and that's when I suspected the drug use.
All right. I'm here from you, sir, then we'll get back to you to complete your testimony and tell me more about the lawsuit, sir.
Your Honor, half of the accusations made are incorrect. During our relationship, Miss Upton was very insecure and physically and mentally abusive to me. I have evidence of my face that was assaulted during the night, and there's prior assault that happened. No, not during the night I OD'd.
You never OD'd?
No, I did OD.
That's what I asked you. I said you OD?
Yeah, I did, and I stopped doing
that's what I asked you. I want to ask you about that first.
Okay.
All right? Because she said that's what caused her all the problems. She said you stole any pills you could get your hands on.
That's
you
a false
overdose.
accusation.
You abused her and the household because of your drugs. So let's address that first before we talk about her retaliating against your dope fiend ways.
Of course, sir. So after my overdose, I quit all drugs besides marijuana. I don't drink. That's all I do is smoke. And I currently don't do that anymore. So you never took any of these
pills from the house?
No, I didn't take any.
Okay, good enough. You have any idea? Did you ever hear a discussion about it?
I mean, I'm sure they never said it to my face, but I'm sure they were talking about it behind my back.
Oh, they didn't notice you had stopped?
Well, I told them that I stopped.
Right, and they didn't notice. They didn't believe you?
I guess not.
Right. Move on with your testimony.
So, she would physically and mentally abuse me, degrade me every day, and that's why my demeanor
About
changed.
what? What type of things?
Just that I wasn't a good enough man that...
No, that you were a dope fiend, maybe. Never OD'd?
No, I did OD.
That's what I asked you. I said you OD?
Yeah, I did, and I stopped.
That's what I asked you. I want to ask you about that first.
Okay.
All right? Because she said that's what caused her all the problems. She said you stole any pills you could get your hands on.
That's
you
a false
overdose. You abused her and the household because of your drugs. So let's address that first.
Plaintiff Ashlyn Upton is suing her ex-boyfriend, who claims Ashlyn was arrested for assaulting him.
Go ahead. What you suing him about?
All right, Your Honor. So in December of 2021, I actually made the decision to leave him because I wasn't proud of the way that we were raising Ezekiel. I wanted better for him. So with that, I would rather my son come from a broken home than live in one.
And this was December of 21?
Yeah, December 17th.
Okay, and that wasn't too long ago. Tell me about these assaults he made a reference to. Have you assaulted him?
So let me just tell you a little bit real fast. So on December 19th, so I left for the weekend with my son, and then December 19th is the night that all of this happened. So I went to the home because he doesn't have a reliable vehicle to get Zeke to and from.
You're referring to one incident, right? The one we're here for?
Yeah.
Okay, no, he says you've done it constantly. You've consistently assaulted him. So
Your
that's
Honor,
what I'm asking.
absolutely
Was
not.
there any other assault
Absolutely
that
not, Your
you
Honor.
committed against him?
Absolutely not.
All right, and he's going to tell me the others.
Absolutely.
Because he used the plural word. Go ahead.
So that night, I had gotten over to the house, and he wasn't there. But then I got Ezekiel in. I got him on the floor, got him playing with some toys. He came in. I asked him where he was. He said he was getting cigarettes. So I was like, okay, cool. And then we just started kind of arguing back and forth. And then with that, I felt the tension and it just escalating, so I just grabbed Ezekiel and I said that we're gonna try this another night. You know, this is not a good situation for Ezekiel to be in. He came and snatched him out of my arms and ran out the front door. When he did this, I didn't want to chase him and go cause a scene outside, so I called my mom and she was able to get a hold of him on the phone after a while, and then he came back into the home with Ezekiel. He handed me the phone and told my mom to talk to daughter. When he did this, a message came across from a girl and I saw it and I ran right up the stairs where he chased me and telling me to give him his phone and ran right up into the bathroom. I barricaded myself in there, and he was banging on the door. And then he eventually stopped and went back downstairs with our son Ezekiel. And then I saw the message and confirmed that he was cheating on me yet again. I go back downstairs and I tell him to tell me the truth, and then he lunges at me and tells me to give him the phone, so I throw it on the ground because he's coming at me. And then it doesn't stop him, so I pick it up again and I throw it the opposite direction, and that doesn't stop him, so I run for the kitchen, and he catches me by the dining room table, throws me up against the dryer, has me pinned by my throat, and I had to punch him in the face to get free from him. And then with that, I ran for the living room, and then he got me by the front door again and threw me up against the wall and had me pinned again by my throat. What was I supposed to do? Of course I punched him in the face to get him off of me. And then when I was finally able to break free, he grabbed me, which if you look on
You can tell me.
table or
You can tell me, because I want you to quickly, and we'll read later, I want you to quickly get to the part where the police came.
well, he picked me up by my right arm and threw me over our son onto the couch like a rag doll. And with that, he was already grabbing our son, so I just ran out the front door and waited for my mom. And then we came back, and then we tried to talk to Sean. He wasn't talking to anybody. It was just being, Sean. And then
After you had done all that, you tried to talk to him?
yeah, I mean, he has my son and supposed to have him overnight.
I don't know whether to believe you now. That was a brutal assault. And now you're telling me, well, we sit down and try to talk within a few minutes of it. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, I did. So, okay.
Okay, how'd that go?
It didn't go good. It didn't go good at all. He wouldn't talk to us, and he had my son, and he wouldn't give us our
You ever
son.
call the police, ma'am?
When I got to my house, I did.
What did they do?
They actually said that he had reported it already, and that I needed to come in and write a statement.
What was the result?
I actually was the one that got arrested because I was the
I
one
know,
that
the
said-
final result in the courtroom, did it get dismissed?
My
or was
charges
it-
were completely dismissed and
Okay,
sealed.
they found no merit to it.
Absolutely.
The prosecutor charged you, though?
I'm sorry,
Prosecutors, when they say you are charged with a crime,
at first,
you go
yeah.
to court, right?
Yeah,
So they
but
dismissed it
completely.
and because the prosecutor believed you did it.
Right.
The judge dismissed it because the judge didn't believe you did it.
Actually, the DA offered me the deal before we even went to the courtroom.
And you accepted it?
Absolutely.
All right. Have you assaulted him?
So let me just tell you a little bit real fast. So on December 19th, so I left for the weekend with my son, and then December 19th is the night that all of this happened. So I went to the home because he doesn't have a reliable vehicle to get Zeke to and from.
You're referring to one incident, right? The one we're here for?
Yeah.
Okay, no, he says you've done it constantly.
Plaintiff Ashlyn Upton is suing her ex-boyfriend, who claims Ashlyn was arrested for assaulting him.
Let me hear from you, sir. Tell me what happened.
So the night of the altercation, she came over to the house on December 19, 2021, to pick up my son because I had him for the weekend and I had to go to work on Tuesday. So she came to pick him up, and she's being belligerent, real belligerent, and screaming at me.
About what?
I honestly don't recall, just about something that I have done, obviously, probably that I didn't fit to the standard.
No doubt. Go ahead.
So I call her mom, and I tell her, you need to come get your daughter before I call the cops because I don't want to fight anymore. I'm done fighting. Every time it ends in me getting assaulted physically in the face. So she takes my phone talking to her mom, and she sees that I have communication with another female. We had been splitting up already, and I wasn't a sexual relation. It was just an old friend from school. So she sees this text message, starts throwing my phone at the ground like Gronkowski 6-7 times, which is $1,000 phone. I use it for work and my personal life. So when I go to retrieve my phone, that's when she begins to hit me in the face several times, which I have exhibits 2 and 3.
Ma'am, you have pictures as well?
Absolutely. They are on page 2 and 3.
At this time, her mom came to get her, and I told them I wasn't going to press charges. I wasn't going to call the cops. Like I said, there was multiple times before this that I also didn't make charges or press charges or call the cops during. So I talked to somebody who is like a father figure to me once they leave the household with Ezekiel, our son, and he tells me I have to call the cops because if I don't, they're going to make the scene that I'm the bad guy. So I call the cops. They come do their investigation. They see my face is beat up, you know what I mean? and she gets arrested. So if I was the one that beaten her,
You weren't charged at all?
I didn't get a single charge. I didn't spend a night in jail.
The problem, ma'am, is that you were charged and you thought all charges were dismissed. They were dismissed contingent upon something you had to do. So tell me another incident when she assaulted you.
It was, I don't recall the
Season.
exact month. I think it was June. No, it was summertime, June, I believe, of 2021.
21.
And we were in Florida. I had my son in our arms. And she, again, sees a message on my phone that a girl had sent me.
How? How did she see the message this time? Now you sound like
it was
you're
just
lying.
sitting on the counter. I don't have anything to hide. My phone is on the counter.
Go ahead.
This is when she assaults me with my son in my arms. So we had our problems there, you know.
Tell
yelled
me,
back
no,
and
you have
forth.
to be a little more specific about the assaults. You had your son in your arm, you say?
Yes, sir,
And
I
she
did.
did what
and he's
exactly?
6 months of age at the time. And
Pardon me?
He was 6 months of age at the
What
time.
happened?
She came up and smacked me in the face with him in my arms.
What did you do?
So then I verbally got loud, you know. I never physically put my hands on her. And I told her if this happens again, it'll be the last time, like I'm calling
All
the
right,
cops
ma'am, did
next
this happen?
Absolutely.
All
not,
right,
Your
give me
Honor.
another instance where she assaulted you.
The other incident was at her parents' house.
When, approximately?
When we still lived at her house, it was, I can't recall.
Okay, go ahead, what happened?
So we were downstairs in the basement. Again, we were getting loud, verbally arguing back and forth. And that's when she assaulted me, hitting me in the body and the face.
You remember that?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
We'd been splitting up already, and I wasn't a sexual relation. It was just an old friend from school. So she sees this text message, starts throwing my phone at the ground like Gronkowski 6, 7 times, which is a $1,000 phone. I use it for work and my personal life. So when I go to retrieve my phone, that's when she begins to hit me in the face several times.
Plaintiff Ashlyn Upton is suing her ex-boyfriend, who claims Ashlyn was arrested for assaulting him.
So let's move to your unreturned property that you're suing for.
There was a period in time after all of this went down where there was a mandatory restraining order, and I had no contact with Sean for several months.
It was against who?
It was on me to not talk to Sean.
Okay, let's move on to your property. What happened?
So in that time, my mom had messaged him asking to get some of my belongings back, especially an owlet sock because my son was very, very sick.
Mm-hmm.
This owlet sock measures breathing, heart rate, all of this stuff that makes sure he's okay. He refused to give it to us, as well as any of my property. He said, "I'll see you in court." And I had a civil assist, Your
So
Honor.
you all had moved from your mom's.
On December 17th, I only took a couple of things, though. It was just like a weekend thing. We weren't even broken up at that time. I was just in the process of, like, if we can't figure this out, then this is going to
But
be...
you all were living at your mom's or your own place?
In our own place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a key. Oh, you had a restraining order.
Right.
And he wouldn't give it to you through a third person, which is your mom. You have to have a third person when you have a restraining.
And, Your Honor, I also had a civil assist, but given the circumstances, I was honestly scared to go back to the house, and I just wanted to see
With
him.
the police, you were scared?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. What property did he refuse to grant you, ma'am?
The only thing that he gave me is if you look...
No, what didn't he give?
Oh, he that whole
What
house...
are you suing for? Not the things you got, the things you're suing for.
I'm suing for the remainder of my bedroom set. He's still got my headboard.
You have a list you provided us?
Yeah, it's on page 26, Your Honor.
Okay. Bed frame, 1,500, laptop, kitchen table. Okay, and when did you last request them?
Just a little bit ago, we had our...
Do you know the
custody-
month and year?
About a month and a half ago, I would say. We had our custody hearing, and in that agreement, he agreed to give me my things. And then I took off the remainder of a Saturday when my brother-in-law was in town with a truck. And then when he dropped Ezekiel off, because he's only allowed to see our
Ma'am,
son.
please, let's get to the last request.
Okay. Well, it would have been that day when he gave me only partial of my stuff. If you look on page 25, that is what he gave me.
The date, ma'am.
I don't have the date, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Okay, a month and a half ago?
Yeah, approximately.
You're saying, and Tell me what happened when he asked. How did you ask? Tell me the process. What happened?
So he came over to drop off our son at 3 p.m. I asked him if I could get some of my stuff back, and he said, no, I'll see you in court. And then called my brother-in-law a couple hours later and said that my stuff is on the curb.
Was it?
Yeah, but only what's on page 25, which is not even like.
So none of the things this list are on 26 were on the curb.
Right.
All right, and the things that were on page 25, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
All right, and it's the dressers and TV and a rocking chair. All right, that's all I see. Sir, what do you say to this? She says she's been trying to get her property back. She said you even agreed to give it back, yet you haven't.
So on pages 10 and 11, Your Honor.
Your evidence?
Yeah, of my evidence. Sorry about that. On pages 10 and 11, I have evidence proving that her stuff has been in the garage for X amount of days. They just wanted to come pick it up at my household when I ain't there. So I didn't feel comfortable with that, not knowing if they're going to take my stuff.
I thought you said they were in storage.
It was in the garage. I'm still paying for rent at the house, so that's the storage fee, you know? I could have just left it outside and abandoned it.
Where did you put it?
In the garage.
Okay.
At my
and
house.
It's still there?
Some of the stuff is, yeah.
Where's the other stuff?
No, all of her stuff is still in the garage.
That's what I'm asking. We're only talking about her stuff today.
Yes, sir, yes. Everything relating to our son is still inside my property because he still uses that when I have him at my time.
Okay. You say it's in the garage. How did she attempt to get it from you in the past?
So her mom had made arrangements to come pick it up, but they didn't want me to be there when they picked it up. And I told them that I could bring some stuff when I brought the outlet sock, but per the restraining order, I didn't want to jeopardize me or the other party getting in trouble.
Correct.
So I had a third party drop it off.
Drop it off where?
At their household. But it wasn't everything. It was just a few bags of clothes and the outlet sock because I only have such a big truck that I can only get so much stuff in there, you know? I don't have a U-Haul, just a little pickup. So
where's the bed frame? You dropped that off?
It's in the garage right now.
Okay.
I had to take it apart.
All right. How about the laptop?
I never did find the laptop at the house. I looked all over. I never.
Clothing?
Clothing, same thing. I gave her all the clothing from inside the house. She's stating there's stuff in the cellar. I haven't climbed down there yet.
She says there's some things in the cellar?
Yes, sir.
And you haven't gone down there?
It's 3 foot and I'm 6'3". It's pretty tough for me to get down in there, you know.
Who put them in there?
I did for her, yeah. Yeah, I could go down there and get them
sir.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Well, how did it get there? I went in and put it there.
Plaintiff Ashlyn Upton is suing her ex-boyfriend, who claims Ashlyn was arrested for assaulting him.
Ma'am, the clothing.
Yes, sir.
How much clothing? Describe some of the clothing. That's your biggest fee here.
I have a shopping problem, so I can't even tell you how many clothes I have. I have thousands.
Okay, you're gonna have to for me to.
Yeah, I have thousands of clothes. Especially when
accept that.
I had my skinny clothes is what I refer to them. That's in the cellar, and then when I got pregnant, I had a whole wardrobe full of clothes.
You have pictures?
Unfortunately, I do not, Your Honor.
I was looking for evidence because you provide me with none. All right, sir, I tripped you up there talking about you can't get down there, so you don't know what's down there, even though you put it there. I'll grant you your $5,000, ma'am. Your counterclaim, sir, for storage fees and pain and suffering due to the assault. The storage fees is what I need. Did you all have an agreement regarding the storage fees?
No, of course not.
You can't charge somebody without agreement. With regard to the assault that she committed against you, I believe it, I'm convinced. So I am going to grant you $2,500 for that. $5,000 for you and $2,500 for you. Have a good day.
The fact that you can get on national television and lie, there's nothing else to say.
I would love to work it out for the benefit of my son, obviously.
It'll never happen.